What's going on? I was I was at work and I just happened to witness an argument, you know, a bickering match, between two fellow employees. And they were arguing about something going on between both their departments. And I work in conjunction with both departments. So I was able to witness this pissing match. And it all boiled down to ego tripping. Both people wanted to be right and they wanted to prove the other one wrong. And they wanted to be in control. I mean, they both had their little side theories and validations of why each one was right and why the other should comply. But all I was hearing as a witness was, hey, I'm the boss. You do what I tell you to do. And the other, oh, I'm the boss. You do what I tell you to do. No, you do what I tell you to do. Nah, you do what I tell you to do. Now, if you take away all of the side arguments and whatnot that they had to validate their reason for arguing or bickering, whatever you want to call it, that's what it truly boiled down to me, because I mean, it was just a senseless ego battle. And they were squawking at each other like magpies. And then I watched as the energy, frustration started getting more intense between these two. They were getting madder and madder at each other. And, negative energy is contagious. You know that. And even if you're not a participant, if you bear witness to something like that, what happens? You start to get frustrated too. It ain't might not even be none of your business, but the intensity of it all, the frustration, that energy radiates out and it taps into your personal system, your emotional system, and you start feeling frustrated. And I thought about it, and I thought to myself, these people, they're traumatizing themselves, plain and simple. They are traumatizing themselves. And the reason why I thought about that is because I kid you not, just this past Sunday, Mother's Day, I met this fella, and he was a U.S. veteran. He served in the Army. He was an older fella, nice guy, and he had undergone some special training, and he was a member of a squad called the Delta Force. And I thought about it, and I'm like, man, you know what? The first time I ever heard of the Delta Force was when I was a kid, and Chuck Norris made a movie called Delta Force, and he chuckled, no pun intended, but he laughed at that, and he said, well, that was a fun movie, but it was unrealistic. Um, we never had any toys like Chuck had in the movies. He said, I wish we could have had motorcycles with missiles on them and that kind of thing, but it's like, nah, not like that at all. And he told me a story about a time in combat. He was in a war overseas, and there was gunfire, and two of his fellow army men got hit, and they died in the field in battle. And one of them was a little bit ahead of him in the line of fire, so there was nothing they could do to go retrieve his body. Um, he was killed right there, and the enemy kept firing, and they had to keep shooting back. They couldn't do nothing to assist their fallen soldiers. And he talked about how it was trauma to him, and how when he got back to the States, how he was, it was hard to adjust. And he talked about his therapy and whatnot. And I thought about that story as I witnessed these two arguing, and the frustration was building. And that's what I thought. I'm like, these people are traumatizing themselves. And what's interesting about this whole situation is that I've seen this time and time again. These people go to their place of employment where I work, and they get into these bickering matches, these squabbles, these ego battles, and they traumatize themselves. And it's like each and every moment might not be as intense as this guy's situation in combat, but I can see over a period of time how these people, as they continue to go at it with and against each other, how the frustration builds and each time it gets worse. So if they keep it up, what's going to happen is it builds up. It builds up. And at a point in time, the weight of their trauma will be just as heavy as this gentleman who was in the war. I mean, that's soul destruction. These people are literally gradually picking away, pecking away, picking at their souls, gradually tearing themselves down spiritually by destroying themselves mentally. All for the sake of a pathetic argument. I mean, I, I had to leave. I had to walk away, but I left with that thought, and they were still going at it as I walked away. I mean, when I walked away, I just kind of mumbled under my breath, and I'm sure they heard me. I'm like, well, when y'all settle it, y'all let me know, and y'all can get back with me. So I walked away, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want that inside my system. So keep that in mind. Whenever somebody says something you don't like, or somebody says something dumb, and you feel like you need to indignantly, indignantly lash out to call that person stupid or dumb, to frustrate yourself with anger. And anger is it's akin to hate. I mean, it kind of is. Keep that in mind. I mean, just think about it. I mean, is it worth taking a little chunk out of your soul, even if it's just a little bitty piece? Just if it's is it worth it? Why not just hold your peace by holding your tongue and blowing it off? Be instrumental in saving your soul. If you're a Christian, I mean, would not Christ need to have something to rescue? If you pluck away at your soul by participating in anything petty like that, bickering matches, nonsense, people, Donald Trump on the internet, and you getting wild eyed and indignant and arguing with somebody who may be a conservative or a liberal. I mean, think about that, especially if you're a Christian. Leave something left for Christ to salvage when the time comes. Anyway, if it pleases you, subscribe to the Spiritology television network channel on YouTube, and I'm trying to build a following. I'm also trying to promote my books, the Power of Spiritology series, on sale at Amazon.com. But subscribe, and I'll do more of these talks in the near future. Have a good night.